Sam, could I sit on your head?
That's the start of the episode. Welcome back to Take Our Podcast.
Wait, is that how it starts?
Yes.
Oh, God.
I guess so.
All right, welcome back to Take a Walk Podcast. So let's get into it. Today, I'm Kyle.
That's pretty fucking nice. I'm Devon.
I'm Sam.
Today's episode is going to have a topic. Usually we don't go into it with a topic, but this is something we all feel very passionate about. So we're going to discuss the recent Netflix original series, The Dragon Prince.
How passionate can you be about anger, Kyle?
We'll get back to that.
Okay. I think I can be pretty passionate about my
Allow me to first give some backstory. For those of you who don't know, The Dragon Prince is a Netflix original series by the same creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender, which I think I speak for the three of us when I say it's all of our favorite cartoon shows ever.
Yeah, I can't think of a better one.
Can you think of a better one?
I don't see it as a cartoon show.
How about Danny Phantom?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah, because also Butch Hartman is kind of a dick.
What?
Let's not talk about that.
No, I want to talk about Butch Hartman right now.
That's a whole nother can of worms.
The new episode is Butch Hartman.
Here's the problem I have with Butch Hartman.
What?
I don't know a fucking thing about him.
Have you not heard the Butch Hartman stories?
Yes, I have, but that's...
All right,
for
another show.
I think it would be fun.
All right.
I like how I went in so direct. This is what we're going to be talking about. But can we talk about Butch Hartman?
So basically, we all watched this as friends, thinking, oh, it'd be a great show. We weren't exactly expecting Avatar level because that's hard to expect because that's a really amazing show.
Right.
It's not gonna they're not gonna keep rolling out amazing shows, but It was by the same people who made the Avatar series.
I mean, look at Telltale. They have one or two good games, and the rest of them are dog shit.
So we basically went into this and
steamroll over my point.
We can't get distracted, all right?
Yes, we can. We have an hour long to fill.
No, we need to finish this. Okay. I want to be done with this, all right?
All right, that's a wrap.
Done with this show.
The episode's done.
All right,
Episode
Devin,
done?
You done with this show?
No, I want to be done. No. Guys, I don't think we should do live action.
You're fired.
You're fired.
Just kidding, we need you. You're hired.
Oh, okay.
But we're paying you less.
Sounds like corporatism.
I mean, we were paying you zero before, so now you have to give me money.
Here's my phone. Actually, I need it for the show. All right.
So
perfect switch.
All right, so I'll
go for it.
Okay, so we started the show, and you know when you're watching a show with your buddies, you make jokes about it. That's just what you do. It's fun, The problem was, as we continued to make jokes, we started to realize how real those jokes were, and they're becoming less so jokes as they were criticisms.
Yeah, the problem is we never got past the joke stage as the jokes became more and more serious throughout the show. Because every time we'd crack a joke, it was a genuine, this is something wrong with the show, which is a big problem.
So, with that said, The Dragon Prince is not a good show. We gave it our darndest. We went in with high expectations, but we were ready to expect that it wasn't going to be perfect. But, we were expecting something worthwhile. Something that would be interesting. A fun 9-episode romp on Netflix. Instead, what we were met with was constant frustration, confusing characters, an asinine plot, and just stinks. Just stink left and right.
It was a stinky show.
It was stinky.
It was stinky.
So, let's start back. Episode 1. I remember very little of it because I tried to block it out so far. So from what I've gathered, it starts out. Do you guys have all the character names because you're gonna forget them?
Yeah, I have them
absolutely.
all actually. Yes.
I'm staring at the IMDb page right now because I cannot remember any of their names.
I remember 2 of them, but that's it.
So we start off and we are met with.
Spoilers, by the way, if you guys want to watch
huge
the
spoiler.
We're spoiling the whole first season.
Yeah.
So if you don't want any spoilers, please don't watch this video. Watch the show first, come back, watch our video, or just don't watch the show because you'll thank us when we're done.
Or just don't watch the video. Because you haven't watched the video. Show. What?
Watch the video.
You're right. The 8 people who are watching this right now,
don't
watch this
not
video.
Watch our video. This is how we make ad revenue, even though we aren't even having ad revenue yet.
Dude, people can decide what they want.
Do you watch when we if we ever like actually make something big out of this show, and we look back at these episodes, we're like, we're not even making anything from this, and then later we're gonna be on our mansions, like, yeah, what a state we were in.
Mansions?
Yeah, because we're so rich off of YouTube money.
There's no way you could get that rich off of YouTube.
Markiplier makes like $1 million plus a year.
You kidding me?
Hot damn.
Yeah,
That's more than the president of the United States.
he makes more than PewDiePie.
Let's be honest though, Trump's got. Okay, let's get back to
the show. Okay,
Yeah.
so it starts off with Donald Trump Jr. and his actual name was Callum, but it's Callum and it's Soren and they're sword fighting, and I'm sorry.
That's not actually. It's not entirely true
Ki-
because
let's-
it starts with a big old opening.
Oh yes, I'm
a
sorry.
big like 5-minute long exposition fest. Which, okay, listen, I don't mind having exposition at the beginning of a show. A lot of good things do that. Avatar did that.
Right.
Opens with like a minute of exposition. Think about movies. Star Wars does that.
Literally
Opens
every-
with
yeah,
it
with the
opens
text crawl,
with a big
with
opening
reading.
crawl. And so that's
Cinema
that-
Sims be furious.
exposition at the beginning of a show is not necessarily bad. You can have a good show with a big exposition at the beginning. The problem was that it went on for so long and that there was a ton of details. It didn't just tell us the necessary little bits, I felt it just kept going and going and going. And by the time we were done with the exposition fest, I couldn't even remember what happened at the beginning.
Well, not only that, but I feel like a lot of things that they did explain didn't really come into play in the actual show. Like, I know, like, it's the world building, but I don't feel like we ever saw those facts that they brought up really interact with the story, per se. I feel like they could have just been like, so pretty much the humans and elves are at war because the humans broke this dragon egg and the elves are pissed. I feel like we could have left it at that. I don't think we needed to go into this whole, like, border security. Also, Viren in one of the last episodes mentioned there's 5 kingdoms, and I thought there were 2.
Yeah, okay, I'm not the only one
you're
that
not
thought
the
there were
one
only 2.
I was like, wait, were there only 2? But I guess there were more. And if the beginning of the show explained that,
I didn't even catch that.
then
at
who
all.
cares?
I thought
Because we
there were-
only talked about 2.
I thought there was only 2 throughout the entire first season. Okay, I want to. So I don't know what you guys have to say about the show. I kind of have my own. My opinion on it was pretty bad, but I think that all focuses mostly around the characters. So I have a bunch of garp about the characters and kind of like what I want to talk and specific moments. I think you guys have more kind of open stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't think we should do episode by episode.
No.
Because it's going to come down to us remembering very vague details about one thing and not really...
Yeah, well, the reason I opened it with episode 1 is because...
that was the most confusing.
One, it was the most confusing, but 2, you can kind of look towards the first episode for, like, a starting of a theme of why things are bad in this show.
Okay.
Exposition being the first one. I think one of the biggest problems in this show is that 1, exposition just drags on too long.
Right.
And 2, it keeps delivering it in ways that are not clever.
Right. And it doesn't really bring any of those details back to actually influence the actual story that the show is trying to tell.
Yeah.
I think I want to just kind of go through, because most of these are actually in the first episode. So mostly problem with the characters is like they change their kind of morals or their, mood, or just everything kind of just switches.
Yeah.
They'll be in one mood and then we'll be in another.
They're wishy-washy.
Kind of a good example for that for the first episode is the king, who I forget the name of.
Let's just call him the king.
No,
Right.
wait. You had the IMDb.
I think I have his
to go
name.
back to it,
It's
so I opened a different tab.
Aro?
All right.
Or Aro?
I don't think so.
It says King.
Hold on a fucking second.
Wait a darn tootin'
somebody else in
mootin'.
there.
I'm looking.
It's
Oh,
King.
God.
Look how much we're prepared. Look at this.
That's the Greg.
God.
Oh, Gren.
I do not... He was only in, like, the first episode.
What was his? Oh my God.
We
All
don't,
right,
Okay, big problem. We don't even remember their names.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which
if it's our
which
fault
I would say that's our fault, but that's only because like okay, when I watch something, I don't memorize somebody's names. Okay, when I read books, I don't do that at all. I just kind of skim over people's names.
Well, I feel with books though, you're reading their names all the time.
I generally know what their names are, and like if somebody said like, "Hey, what's this guy's name?" I could like be like, "Oh, something like this." But I don't. For some reason, my mind just kind of skips over names. So I am terrible with names. But anyway, the king.
Harrow.
Is it Harrow?
King Harrow.
Oh, that is an H. I'm sorry, I can't read my own handwriting.
But I didn't know which one it was.
But so this king, he's talking to his advisor, which is Lord Varen.
Viren?
Yeah,
Viren was the
okay.
advisor. Which I'm just gonna say real quick. How many shows can you think of, or how many stories can you think of where the advisor is always evil?
I mean, this one...
And maybe you guys aren't seeing this as much because I play a lot of Fire Emblem, and I can think of maybe 4 or 5 Fire Emblem games that have evil advisors.
I feel like that's really just every kingdom. Every kingdom that has an advisor, the advisor's got to be evil.
Yeah, maybe not off the top of my head. I can't think of any, but I know what you're talking about. Like, it seems like there's a really common trope.
I feel like the reason they have the evil advisor is to make the king look better.
Yeah.
Because when the evil advisors are like, let's go torture puppies, and the king's like, no, torturing puppies is wrong. And he's like, oh, he thinks torturing puppies is wrong. Then it makes him look cool.
Yeah.
Even though it's like kind of a duh.
Because you don't want to have like evil lord dude, because that's also a really common trope, you know?
Right.
So they want to, I guess you could say they tried to avoid that by having the evil advisor.
Right.
But another overused trope.
Right.
All right, so the king is, he's talking to his advisor, and basically the advisor, they know elves are coming to kill them, or kill the king mostly. But,
which we'll get more into that later.
yes. And the advisor brings up this topic like, hey, we can use this black magic, which there's like a few different types of magic. It kind of goes along with the elements, but not exactly. It's kind of different. There's like sky and shit. But
what was it? It was sky, earth,
ocean,
moon. And moon?
Yeah.
Even though I feel like ocean
that.
and moon kind of coincide with each other.
No, they're different. You could.
But I feel like even in like Avatar, like the moon is the force of
Yeah, but
ocean.
you're connecting to Avatar.
But I feel like that makes sense because that's also how science works.
Yeah,
the
but
moon is a big factor in the ocean.
You're trying to bring science into a fantasy show.
I'm trying to be science into a world that should be logical.
It's not a matter of like trying to make everything scientifically accurate, but it should be logical.
You can't.
And we base a lot of our logic on science.
But it's like magic. You can't just be like, oh, that magic doesn't follow science. You really think a guy shooting lightning from his hands
That's
is...
magic. I'm saying how the world works should make sense with science.
They're saying like one of the affinities is water, one of the affinities is the moon.
Right.
It's like they draw from different magic sources. The moon could be like lunar, like the moon elves.
Okay.
While the ocean is like water.
Okay. I suppose, but
I mean it made sense to me. Anyway.
Whatever.
So the advisor brings up this like dark magic thing, and he's like, you know, we're gonna use this on you to like transfer your souls using this snake with somebody else, like one of your guards. So you're gonna die, and Elf is gonna kill you, but they're not really gonna kill you. They're gonna kill a random soldier.
Right.
And the king is not about that life.
Even though like the guards were all like, yeah, we'll do it.
I don't know, because when you looked at the guards, they kind of had this like face. So,
but I feel like they were, of course, scared.
I feel like
die,
they
would
would
like,
do it.
They didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't like. They didn't argue with it.
Nobody backed down. The king directly asks his advisor. He's like, would you be willing to do it? And the advisor's like, fuck.
Which is kind of weird because like, I feel like he would. I don't know. But
it does kind of go against his character because at the beginning they try to present him as, I'm just trying to save my kingdom and my king.
Yeah.
And when he's like, would you give your life? He's like, nope.
Which
it's
it's his king and his friend. He specifically says it's like you were one of my best friends.
I feel like if Viren dies as opposed to like some random guard, I feel like that's more detrimental to the kingdom.
Which
that's true.
Actually, might explain why the king is like so angry.
Yeah.
That actually kind of explains the outburst. I was one of my garps was like later on.
Is garps a word?
Yeah.
I think you're thinking gripes.
Gripes, garps. I'm a weird bastard. All right.
Gripes.
So one of my garps.
One of my carps.
Because I'm weird.
That's a carpy show, dude.
It's very fishy. So one of my gripes is the fact that like.
Painted my bass.
I'm gonna fight you.
Continue, please.
Stop with the fish joke.
You're right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
All right.
I'm being real mackerel right now.
So later on, he's like, the king is kind of barred up in his room, and the advisor comes to him again, and he's like, yeah, you know what? I realize the error of my ways. I just wanna protect my friend. And the king's like, your friend? You're higher? You think you're higher than everyone else? What's wrong with you? And he's like, get on your goddamn knees and like, bow to your king. And like, So it
Yeah,
seemed really uncharacteristic because I know the king was angry, but it's like they do present them as friends, kind of.
They present them before, like even Viren was talking, like it was one of the king's most proudest moments was having me next to him that painting because that was like a big deal for him because they were buddies.
Yeah.
But then like I don't feel like Viren really changed that much. I feel like he was just trying to protect his friend and protect his kingdom.
And he even backed down. He came up to him later and was like, "Oh, look, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to help." And then the king had that outburst, which didn't make any sense. Another thing that doesn't make sense about that is because the previous scene, in which Viren's like, Viren's like, "Hey, I want to use this dark magic," and the king's like, "No, I won't do that, and I won't sacrifice any one soldier's life to protect my own." So it's trying to present that scene. The purpose of it is trying to present the king as like a good, wholesome dude, right? And then the next scene directly contradicts that by making him have an unreasonable outburst. So that makes him look more like a bad guy than the guy who was just presented as the bad guy.
You know what else is contradicting about that? I won't sacrifice one guard's life to defend my own, yet he has a bunch of guards blocking his door.
Exactly.
Doesn't that also seem hypocritical? And they all fucking die?
I don't...
Die.
Well, yeah, it doesn't really show it. The main, like, guards that actually... Right.
Yeah. They fall over, so they're dead.
You're going to have to assume that they die because...
Did Jet just die?
God damn. It was kind of unclear.
All right. So, like, I feel like... And on that point, I want to talk a little bit more about Viren for a little bit. Because I feel like Viren was, in the first few episodes, I don't think he was wrong a lot of the times. I think he had solid arguments of why he should be defending his kingdom. I think, obviously, he lost a lot of people when he was like, "Oh yeah, I've been keeping the egg." Which, we never found out if Harrow knew about it, did we?
No, it doesn't directly state. So basically, during the time when the king asks the advisor, which Viren, to basically bow to him, is kind of being a dick. It kind of like shows his angry face and it fades out, and then his son Callan.
Wait. Whose son? Harrow's?
Yes,
Callum.
So Callum, which is one of the main characters of this kind of story.
The main character, arguably, but
he's the prince, and he kind of like comes, or he tries to come in, but Viren comes out and he says like, "Oh, you shouldn't be here," and he's like, "Oh, I got to tell." My father about this egg because they found it. And he's like, "What?" And he gets all angry. And basically, Callan's like, "Well, I'll tell my father." And Viren says something that kind of alludes to the fact that he might know, but it's never directly stated, which he basically states that, how do you know that your father doesn't already know?
Right.
Which, it could be a lie. It could be the truth. We haven't seen either way. The king supposedly dies that night. But again,
we call bullshit, by the way.
Yeah, you can kind of assume that it didn't happen. First of all, because like it's Viren's friend. Like I don't think he would kill him, even if he was angry at him.
If he didn't die on camera, he didn't die.
Yeah,
That's
so
the rules of cinema.
Which basically didn't actually show him die. You can kind of just assume, and it's kind of said thereon.
But the fact that we can go as far as with spoilers for the Walking Dead show. The fact that we can go off and show Glenn pretty much dying and then still getting out of that situation is proof that you really can't believe if anybody's dead at that point.
Yeah.
Go on, though.
But there's kind of a few key factors that kind of show that he may still be alive. There's a few hints, but I'm not going to go into them all. Another thing in the first episode, I'm going to kind of move off from the king and go on to, what was the elf's name?
What is her name?
Wait, the girl?
Yeah.
Her name is Rayla.
Rayla. I was thinking Reyna, but that's a Fire Emblem character.
To explain her a little bit, she's basically supposedly the strongest of the elves,
fastest,
I guess.
I heard. It wasn't supposed to be.
It was like strongest, fastest, everything.
Fastest.
It was kind of weird. But like she was young, so like they didn't really, they're like, "Oh, you're young, you can't."
Right.
But they basically brought her on this mission, and they got bound to this mission, which is they have to assassinate Ezra?
As the prince. She has to assassinate Ezra.
Yeah, the main mission was kill the king. Her mission specifically was kill the prince, Ezra.
Okay.
Right.
So...
Which was Callum never mentioned in that assassination, or did they not know about him?
I think they just didn't know he existed.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Well, he is a step brother.
Yeah, he's a stepson. Yeah. That's right.
So basically, but she's really... She's brought upon as this kind of timid character that doesn't really want to kill, which is somewhat like kind of it's weird because she has no problem with fighting.
Well,
and then like killing animals and beasts. But she's like kind of like an elf, and they're kind of shown as like lovers of animals. So it's kind of like contradictory there. But
if you don't mind, may
it's
I go
not a huge gripe.
May I go on a spiel about Rayla real quick?
Sure.
Okay.
Can I?
Topic. Just
it's on the topic. Yes.
Can I really quickly do that because my phone is gonna die, and I'm not sure how long I'll have these key points.
Okay, go for it.
So basically, my gripe with her is when she finds the two princes, she like points her sword at them for like it. It's like the whole episode.
yeah, pretty much.
Which you could argue, which I know somebody is going to argue this with me, but you could argue it's like, oh, she has, she has conflicting feelings about like killing these princes because she doesn't really, they haven't done her any, they haven't done her any wrong. They're kids, there's a lot of different things. But at the same time, like she like right before that, she's like, no, I'm doing this. And then like in the act, she just points her sword at them for like the entire episode.
Well,
and this, like, I get it, but at the same time, it's one or the other. Either like have her decide she's not going to do it, or have her decide she's going to do it. Because it was annoying to just have her sit. Because she's like, oh, you better not take a step back, or I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to kill you. And then they take a step back, and they're like, oh, you better not do that again. I'm going to kill you. And then they run away, and they're like, oh, I'm going to kill you because I found you again. But then it's like, oh, there's an egg. Oh, there's an egg. I'm not going to kill you, but I'm still going to kill you. It's like, so okay, pick one or the other.
Yeah, so the episodes are short. They're only like 25 minutes, right? But like 10 minutes of that episode at least was just her bluffing that she was going to kill them, which was, it gets annoying.
See, my big gripe about Rayla is they start out and they're on the mission and she goes up and she sees the guard, right? She goes up to him, she puts her swords to his neck and he looks at her all scared. She looks back and she's like, oh shit, he's just a dude. She lets him get away. And right at the beginning of that being her whole like character story of she doesn't want to kill. Why did they send her on this assassination mission to kill a child?
Yeah.
Does that not if this is it seemed like also her first time facing killing somebody. Has she not gone through training? Has she not killed anybody before? Why are they sending her on this big mission?
Aren't the what are they called? Something moon?
Moon elves?
Something moon elves?
Something like that?
Oh,
They're
moon
just called
shadow.
Moon shadow.
Moon shadow elves.
Okay.
Right. Aren't they supposed to be? They're like Navy SEALs. They're like the best of the best of the entire elf nation, which I can't remember.
I have an argument for that.
But they're gonna send a rookie. Maybe she's the best, but you're really gonna send a rookie on that mission
who hasn't done any of this yet?
I have an argument for that because so her parents. It says later on that her parents were like the guardians of the dragon. And they failed or whatever. Right. Well, they actually ran away, but
they're dead. But
she wants
not really
to.
Dead.
It does say in the story that she wants to like avenge that. Like she wants to make up for that. So they could easily explain that way with like she could have walked up to them and totally been like, dude, I am ready for this mission. I will kill the king. Because obviously at that time she's like, yeah, dude, I got to do this to like make up. But then actually
reclaim my honor.
Nice.
Don't you speak to me.
I feel like this could get argued back and forth a lot. The point is, it's not exactly sound logic. It could be argued either way, which I think is already a problem.
Also, I don't understand how your argument changes her merciful thing. You said you were going to argue on the fact that like she's merciful and she like doesn't let people die, about that she's trying to get vengeance for her parents.
No. I'm arguing the fact that they wouldn't let her come because she's a rookie.
Okay, gotcha.
First, she's the best of the best, and second, she has something to,
prove.
To drive her. She has something to prove,
I suppose.
So maybe they're like, whatever, let's get them on.
But then she totally freaking wipes that away, just on the flip of a coin.
Which again, we'll talk about. So, well, I'll talk about that right now because we're talking about her.
So let me just replot summarize real quick. So they go in and Rayla is chasing Callum and Ezra, who's the other prince that she was trying to kill. And
I want to quickly note something, that she was kicked off the team because she
let the guard
supposedly go. She let the guard go, but then she told the people like, hey, I killed the guard.
Right.
They later find out that the guard was still alive, and now the kingdom is kind of like on alert.
Right.
Which is total bullshit because Reyna goes in there anyway. Rayla, same difference. goes in there anyway.
Sakura.
And
She fights with 2 lightsabers.
no, she
Oh my God.
she climbs the wall and there's literally no guards
Yeah.
anywhere.
There were no guards anywhere.
You don't see a single guard in that castle or in that town until you get to the castle. Which you could argue, yeah, they pulled them all to the castle. It's kind of a fucking dick move if you know assassins are coming, though.
Yeah, but you know that the assassins are going for one reason, and that's for the king. They're not going to kill innocents.
How do you know?
That's true. They always
The
depicted
leader,
very violent.
the leader was
Yeah.
literally like, "We're killing humans. I hate humans. Murder them all." Like,
Yeah.
you know.
You know,
And, yeah,
which then whose decree was that? Harrow's or Viren's? Because then that would even go further into the fact that Harrow's kind of a hypocritical dick munch.
Wait, which decree? What do you think?
So
Pulling all the guards
Pulling all the
in.
guards
Oh,
in.
pulling out the guard. Okay.
Unless that was just bad writing.
That could just be a speculation. That couldn't be actually. It could just be like, oh, there's no guards there because they kind of need the fact they don't want her to fight or whatever.
Right.
But so basically, she gets up on this wall, or no. So they meet. She meets the princes. They find this egg, and then they decide like to team up, basically right on the spot, which is
okay,
really
so
kind of bullshit.
This is another problem I have is I feel like I remember this is gonna be kind of a side-ish tangent, but this is also spoilers for something else. Fire Emblem Awakening had a similar problem to this, where it would bring up a point and be like, it would bring up like a point that wasn't fulfilled, and like there were still questions about like why this is happening, but they don't answer it until you've already stopped caring.
Yeah.
And with that show, they started working together, and really, the whole time I'm watching this, I'm just thinking she could just get rid of the kids, take the egg.
She doesn't even have
leave.
to kill them. She can just take the
she
egg.
can just take
Yeah.
it, leave, bring it back to her kingdom, and they'll be like, "Oh wow, that's super cool. You got it back. I guess we can try to figure something out then." And then 7 episodes in, she's like, "I only have you because if you guys give the Elf King the egg, then they'll be like, oh, I guess humans are trying to give it back." Which is
I
funny to me.
understand that.
Which is funny to me because those 2 humans are kind of trying to rebel against their own kingdom. So if those 2 humans, 2 kids, by the way, just bring it to the Elf King, then he's just gonna be like, "Yeah, 2 kids are fucking dumb enough to follow you here."
Yeah.
Like that doesn't mean if the king gave it to me.
I feel
that would
like
be
that's
different.
I feel like that's because she wants to end the war, which
Right.
kind of makes sense.
But I don't see how that's gonna end the war.
I don't know. Maybe it's just bad writing.
I just don't. That's a big problem I have, is I don't understand a lot of the things in this. I don't understand a lot of the motives until I've already stopped caring. Because at that point, they're already so far together down the line that it's like, well, guess we're here. Guess we're doing this now.
And even then, the motives are slightly questionable. Like,
Right.
You could ask why does Shayla want to end the war?
Really?
How has it negatively affected her?
we keep fucking up her name.
Let's just be a bit now.
Shayla. Did I call her Shayla?
Yeah, you said Shayla.
All right. Well, that's what I'm gonna call her from now on. Her name is Shayla. All right. So why does Shayla want to end the
Rayla?
war?
It's Rayla.
That's really
How has it negatively affected her? I know that
Well,
she.
because she's obviously proven to be like a pacifist. She doesn't want to have people kill each other.
Yeah, but we still we haven't seen any examples of how like actual violence has been going down and negatively affecting either side. We don't ever see that in this season.
That's true.
Maybe it comes in next season. I don't know, but I feel like that should be something that's at least mildly explored just a little bit, so
Because-
we can see some motivations for them wanting to end the war.
I think
I
the
would
only
like to
reason
see, I would like to see like battle scenes.
I think
Or,
the only
like-
reason they're kind of like avoiding that is because it is a kid's show. But I mean, you still had stuff like that in Avatar.
Well, if you're gonna make a story concept about war, you can't.
You can't.
You can't just not explore that. Even if it's a kids show, just don't make that concept. That's a bad choice.
I wanna point out that we're not trying to compare this show to Avatar, because I think
am.
that would be unfair. But at the same time, like, we're using it as kind of a reference point.
Yes, I brought this up to you guys before. I'm not comparing this show to Avatar because, well, I'm not comparing it to Avatar because it's by the same makers. I'm not comparing it to Avatar because Avatar is the end-all be-all best show ever. I'm comparing it to Avatar because Avatar is an example of a show that does a lot of good things, uses good storytelling,
Right.
makes you care about the characters.
You can
and just
feel the characters' motives behind each of their actions.
genuinely, I don't watch an episode of Avatar and go like, God, everything about this is stupid. I don't watch an episode of Avatar and go, anything about this is stupid.
Right.
You know, It's an example of a good show.
Have you seen The Great Divide?
Show that we can have exceptions to every rule, Kyle.
Yes, okay.
Hello, there's just a blank for a few moments.
Have you seen The Great Divide?
That was a great divide in the audio.
All right.
Hey, I'm
nice,
sorry.
Nicely done.
No, but
the point is, I'm using it as an example of a good show, and I could use many other examples.
Right.
It's just that it's a good example of one. So when I compare it to Avatar, it's not because it's by the same makers. It's just because Avatar does things right and this show does not.
Right. And I feel like they have like kind of similar concepts in a sense. Like,
yeah, it still has the kind of elemental concept.
It's got like the group of like 4 or something people who are all from different worlds working together to try to end the war.
Yeah.
So I guess it's kind of similar in that aspect. But okay, I feel like there's something I was gonna say. I'm starting to forget it. That's frustrating because I feel like it was a really good point. It's about. Well, while I'm trying to remember that, let me complain about some more characters. Let's talk about Soren and Claudia. They are the 2 children of Viren. At the beginning of the show, they're kind of shown as like the friendly rivals to Callum, I suppose. Whereas Claudia is more of like
say rival. I would just say he's like an older brother that he like picks on Callum.
Right.
But he doesn't want to see ill for him.
Right.
Yeah, they establish a good relationship right off the bat. That's scene number 1.
And you know they have to be somewhat friendly if, Soren kind of tries to help Callum get with his sister.
Yeah, that's like a good bro move.
That's like a bro move. Like, that's how you got to know. He's got to have some trust in that guy.
Yeah.
And they established that friendship. And honestly, when I saw that, I was pretty excited. I'm like, I know I talk about Fire Emblem a lot. I'm a big fan of the knight to prince friendship relationship kind of thing. I'm a sucker for it. I think it's cool. It's interesting, like kind of like the knight serves the prince, but the prince is like, no, we can just be friends.
Yeah.
And they wipe all that away in like 2 seconds. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, we only see them interact the one time. That's it.
Right.
Well,
and
what's funny is
after that, they build this friendship. Like they've established that they have been friends for a while because just the way they're talking to each other. And we've established that Callum has a thing for Claudia. Then the moment that Callum finds his egg with this elf girl who is just trying to kill him 2 minutes ago, he attacks the girl he had a crush on.
I wouldn't say attack.
He
but
chains her up.
Yeah.
He just changes and says, fuck you, goodbye, because she was like, hey, we got to keep the egg.
But he didn't know
so
that
it's kind of against. I get your point, but at the same time, I don't want to overstate it.
But they were in a secret lair. Who knows if anyone would have come down there to find her? She could have just starved to death.
Hold on. The real problem here is we must assume that they've known each other for a long time. They have a good relationship, right? And then Callum meets his elf girl, and then 2 minutes later betrays his entire kingdom.
That I can agree with.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yes, that I can agree with. However, I just want to put a gripe.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Gripe is right.
Is it gripe?
Yeah, it's gripe.
Was I saying grope? What was I saying?
No, you're saying garp.
Garp.
Grope is better though.
Okay. No, do not say grope.
Dude, I had a grope about this girl the other
That's
day.
disgusting. Dude, come on.
Callum, or what is her name? Claudia. I have a grope about Claudia. Yeah, God, that just sounds wrong.
Please stop.
All right.
Get demonetized for a non-monetized video.
What?
Go on.
Anyway, now I forgot what I was gonna say.
You're gonna say something about Claudia.
No, I was making. That's what it was. His brother or her brother. Soren. The next time, so we kind of set up this friendship with Callum.
Right.
And the next time they like meet up, it's at the king's kind of
his office,
his like chambers.
Bedroom, yeah.
And it's where Viren kind of stops Callum from going to see the king.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to stop him, he literally like casts dark magic on Callum to suck his fucking voice. And you know what? You know what Soren fucking does? He goes, "Hey."
Yeah,
and that's about it.
He just
like
stands
none
there.
of the guards. The prince is being casted dark magic upon him.
They even grab
and they don't
him.
do fuck all. They literally stop him from doing anything. That bothers me.
That bothers me.
Yeah, another a big problem with that is Soren doesn't know what was going to happen to this kid. His dad might have been killing the kid. He didn't know that. So he just, stands by and watches?
Yeah, I get it that it's his dad and he doesn't want to argue against him. But if my dad tried to kill one of you guys, I would fight my dad.
Yeah, probably. I mean, nobody puts that much trust in a singular person, right?
Right.
No matter what the relationship.
with no
ridiculous.
motive or no reason that's been established yet.
I just had like a scene in my mind where it's like, you know
My
where
dad's
it's like
trying to kill you?
No. You know how where in like games where it does like the like picture of like the boss battles, it's like
Yes.
and then it has
Yes.
the name of the boss and like your name, so it's like the hero Kyle, and then like over here it's like a guy like your dad in a suit, and it's just like business dad, and he just like has a briefcase and like red eyes. It kind of made me laugh there for a second.
All right.
I'm sorry. Anyway,
Nice detour.
yeah.
Nice
Let's
detour.
get back to the
nice
road.
detour and an inside joke that none of our audience is going to understand.
Okay, let's get back to the topic.
Let's go back to the topic. Were we going to say something?
I was gonna make a small point because you brought up the fact that it establishes a good relationship between Soren and Callum, and then doesn't bring it up ever again. Right. That's kind of the point you were making.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a rule in storytelling, and believe me, I'm no pro. I've just watched a couple of YouTube videos, but the rule is called Chekhov's gun, and I don't know if this necessarily applies because it usually applies to like an object.
Wait, like Chekhov, like from Star Trek?
I don't know what the origin is.
Okay.
The point of the rule is
Origin story.
the rule specifically is, I think, more directed towards objects. So if there's an object shown in the show, it better be used later in the show, right? No, every single thing in your show has to have a purpose.
Right.
And I think the same goes for relationships between characters. If you establish a good relationship between Soren and Callum, that has to come up later. And so far it hasn't throughout all of season 1. We haven't seen any...
I think it will come up, but it should have come up sooner.
It should have come up a lot sooner.
And I only say it will come up because right now they're technically hunting them down.
So I feel like for this first bit, we've complained about the characters a lot. I want to kind of get through all the characters, all of our gripes about them, and then get into the story and why the story is frustrating within those characters.
All right. Okay. Well, I've got a few more things about the characters.
The next character that I really want to talk about is Ezra, the little prince boy.
I thought it was Ezrin.
Ezrin?
I feel like it's
Ezra with an N.
I feel like we can talk about all kids with him because all kids in this show share his exact features. And I feel like Sam says it the best just because he brought it up originally.
I think I brought it up.
Did you?
I think you brought it up.
So maybe my problem with Ezrin is actually let me go a little bit further back. So Ezrin starts out and he's this prince of the kingdom, right? And I think I'm trying to remember the scene exactly. I know him and Callum kind of get in an argument because I think they were going to send him to the Winter Lodge.
No, he basically, they were going to send him and he wasn't packing.
Right.
And his brother was like, they're going to kill Dad. And he's like, oh. And then he ran into his room.
Okay. I'm trying to remember why that scene, because... Okay. I'm just trying to think. I had a point.
Just ask questions.
All right.
I could tell you.
So here's the thing. This is my problem with Ezrin is... I'm no pro writer myself, but I think to write children, it is difficult to write a child character because children are so spontaneous. But this child is so one-dimensional and perfect to an odd degree.
Yeah.
You could, whenever you see cartoons, you notice that there are usually two things you can see with poorly written childhood characters. They're either too optimistic or too annoying. Those are the two big tropes.
Right.
And I feel like this one, this Ezrin kid, he's so far on the too optimistic side that it's annoying.
Yeah.
And I would honestly rather him just be kind of a snot-nosed brat than I would have him be this oh, everything is good in the world. But then complain about how they're sending him away, even though he's clearly been a prince, so he's lived this pampered life his whole life.
Yeah.
And then he goes out to these horrifying things. He falls down a river, he falls into ice, he sees these giant monsters, and he just does it with a smile on his face. I've been a kid before. That shit would have me pissing my pants.
Oh yeah,
and I guarantee anybody would be the same way.
No kid is that unafraid.
And I understand.
No kid.
I understand that it developed later on. There's oh, I just never feel like I fit in. I feel like I was different from other kids. And then the girl with the wolf is kind of doing the same thing of oh,
she's exactly the same character.
And I don't understand how you can write a character write a kid like that. He has no flaws. He has no problems in life. He's lived a perfect life, and yet he's so clear to go out on adventures. How is he doing this? This does not make sense.
Which I want to quickly clear this up because some of you out there might just be like, oh, well, he's just an optimistic kid. Okay, when they're in the scene, so Callum, originally when he meets, what did you say, Shibabwe or whatever her name was?
What? Rayla?
It's Rayla.
I call her Shayla.
Shayla, okay. When he meets Shayla,
Please call her Rayla.
When he meets Rayla, he originally says, like, because our mission is to kill Ezrin. Callum says, well, I'm Ezrin, kill me.
Right.
Immediately after that, like, Ezrin from a picture frame is, like, talking, like, hey, Callum, is that you?
Right.
And Callum's like, go away. And then he's like, what do you mean go away? And the assassin's right there, like, are you talking to that painting? And it's, like, so fucking overdone. I don't even want to get into that right now. But what I'm trying to point out is he eventually she goes over and opens the painting, and Ezrin is sitting there, and Ezrin's like, basically with the fact of like, oh, hey, how you doing? So Callum, I gotta show you this thing. And like Callum so many times says like, run, it's an assassin. And this kid's like, but I gotta show you this thing. It's so cool. With this deadpan fucking look.
Even though he has a sword pointing at him.
She is ready to kill this kid with a sword pointing at him. No remorse. Like, and this kid's just like,
even though,
thing.
Okay,
it's cool.
If he is the prince, he's obviously taught that he's going to be the heir of the throne, so he has to be taught some of the politics of the world. And it's very established the humans don't like the elves. So I guarantee you, everything he's learned, like textbooks or whatever, elves are bad, humans are good.
Yeah. Which even later in the show, which I think was the final episode, he directly states, you know, maybe everything we've learned about elves is wrong. So he definitely knows about elves.
Yeah, he's definitely been taught about them.
Yeah.
But the moment he first sees one, he's like, hi.
Yeah. No problem with you. You got a sword pointing at my face. I do not care.
Yeah. And that's a big problem. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about anything. It's so frustrating. He doesn't even have the grace of being like an annoying brat. He's just this like weird perfection character. And that's just a horrible way to write a child character.
I know we're talking about characters. This kind of gets into storytelling as well.
Right.
But another problem I have with him is he's kind of this ex machina character where all of his random shit that he does kind of always gets them out of trouble for no reason.
The same with the frog.
Yeah.
Well, I was actually going to do a gripe about the frog. Is like the whole flashing frog thing. Not only does it get him out of situations when like nothing else is there to get him out.
Right.
Part of the things, it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
So there's a moment which I want to get into because it gets into Callum.
Okay.
But they go to this. So they're basically, we've mentioned before that they were going to get sent off. They end up finding that place anyway, which I'll let you guys totally go into, because I know you want to talk about like a whole, well, why the hell did they end up there anyway? Kind of like to find this fucking cube. I'll let you explain that all in a second. Or Kyle, whoever wants to explain it.
I think Kyle had the biggest
about the
problem with
cube
that.
thing?
Yeah.
Oh
I'll let you
God,
explain that in just a second. But so they end up at this house, and they were gonna end up there anyway. But how they end up there is Callum is talking to Rayla.
We're never going to get her name right.
So he's talking to her, and I forget exactly what happened. Oh, she's like writing down the symbols of all the elements or whatever.
Right.
The primal forces.
Right.
And Callum is like, oh, I've seen that on a toy. We gotta go get it.
Yeah.
And that's literally how, like,
the whole
thing. There's
starts.
no reason for him to get this. There's no reason he should even expect that means Matt. It
also,
doesn't make any
what
sense.
Is he, Sean Spencer? How does he remember that stuff?
But, like, that's not what I want to argue about.
No. It's just,
none of you get
I
that
love
joke.
the specificity, though.
Psych.
That's not what I want to argue
never
about.
seen
What I want to argue about is they end up getting there, and the Rayla.
It's Rayla.
You're trying to mess me up.
No, you messed me up because you said Rayla.
Because I said Rayla, and you're like, oh, it's
Because
Rayna.
you looked at me as if it was wrong. I'm like, oh, well, it's probably the other thing.
Anyway,
It's Rayla.
So she ends up.
Rayla Sakura.
So they go there, and then they have this deaf aunt that shows up, who is like
I'll complain about her in a minute.
Yeah,
king
I have
of
a
the,
complaint.
or she's like a general at the border, I
Can I actually
believe.
make that complaint now because this is
But,
already bothering me.
I
Can you
really
hold
want
off?
to
'Cause
get.
I want to get to that as well.
Okay.
I'll let you guys talk about whatever you want to talk about this lodge. I really just want to get through like this part.
Okay.
So Rayla ends up getting captured, and she's kind of like in the basement tied up, but she's like tied with a rope that like she can move around. Like she has space, but she's just sitting down.
Right.
She's not tied directly to the post. The frog comes down in a conveyor belt because the princes like lower it down to get her out.
Because like Machina.
The frog flashes, which the guards look at, so they get blinded. Mm-hmm. But like Reyna gets up. Rayla gets up.
Rayla Secura.
And like somehow gets. I don't remember exactly how that happened. She fights the guards, but by then they're already like
blind.
No, by then they're already like fine, and they pull out their swords.
Right.
But it's like that frog did absolutely nothing, but they use it as if like, oh, it totally got him out, or got her out of this situation. It's like at any point when the guards were just staying there, she could have stood up and like ran over, gotten a sword, and cut the thing, like, which is basically what she did.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, she didn't. She waited for the guard to like slash. She moved out of the way and got the rope cut, which she could have done that any moment. The frog was completely useless. They like act as if it was like totally a selling point.
I'm gonna disagree with you on that because I think the whole point was it blinded them so that they're like kind of dazed, so their aim was worse. Because otherwise, if she would just like got up and tried to fight them, they would easily just pull out a sword, stab her in the stomach.
Okay, you say their aim was worse, but later in the show, there's a guy who literally swings a dagger at her, and she like dodges between it and knocks it out of her hands.
All right, they're not stormtroopers.
Okay,
but
like she's obviously, which is another gripe. She's too OP.
Yeah, she's
like
OP.
she can win any fight she wants to, and it's not the fact that so. I really like overpowered characters, but I like them when they're done well. A really good example of this, if you've ever seen the anime One Punch, is Saitama. He's a really OP character, but he's
joke.
like bored.
Yeah, that's the joke.
Like he doesn't want to use his power,
right.
Which that's a really good way to use like an OP character. Which you could totally argue, oh, Rayla is the character who's like, oh, she's a pacifist, so she's really powerful, but she doesn't want to use her power. I'd say power. I mean, just like, I don't know.
Her crazy skill.
Skill, that's the word I was looking for. But that's never really shown, except at specific points where it's relevant. Like, she fights all the time, easily with no garb. But as soon as it's like, oh, here's this one decision that the writers apparently decided that needs her to all of a sudden become moral for this, now she doesn't want to do it. It's like that bothers me too.
It's like a poorly written Gohan. Like the whole point is, she only seems to be a pacifist and not want to kill people when it's convenient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or when it's inconvenient for them, rather.
Which I don't want to get off the Winter Lodge at all because there's one more part of that I find really annoying, and that's when they basically
We're on episode 3, aren't we?
Yeah, this is only episode 3.
We're not going through episode
I know,
but I just used the earlier episodes as good examples of bad epides.
Rayla and the princes break out. They're running away, but the aunt still thinks that the elves or the elf's bad, and she's like kidnapping them.
Yeah.
So, what ends up happening is there's kind of a standoff, and
the knight, by the way,
Callum
is deaf.
Yeah, the knight, I forget her name.
Aunt something.
She's the aunt of
Aunt
the
Jemima.
princes. God damn it. She's the aunt of the princes, and she's basically like, elf, give them back, or whatever. And Callum, which completely defines his character. Callum is somebody who will come up with a stupid plan and do it without telling anybody. And I don't want to compare this to Avatar, but I'm going to anyway. Sokka makes a plan, all right? He tells everyone, and then they go through with the plan because they can all work together on it, and it works. And sometimes it doesn't, but it's an okay plan. Callum is like the complete opposite. He comes up with a shitty plan and doesn't tell anyone and just rolls with it, and it somehow works, which is stupid.
Well, it usually gets them in even worse trouble.
It gets them into worse trouble, and then
something else
works.
conveniently saves them.
Yeah.
So in this situation,
or just Rayla goes OP and kills everyone.
In this situation, Callum decides, which he hadn't done before, so again, Ex Machina, all of a sudden he knows sign language, which he could have done before. He never does it.
I'm not going to get too upset about that because
I'm not going to get too upset. Yeah, I'm not going to get too upset because he has a translator, or she has a translator. It's not a huge gripe, it's just small. But my main thing is he signs to her saying that the elf is evil and the elf is gonna suck their blood out.
Right.
Which is like a rumor they heard about earlier that Rayla is like, that's total BS.
Right.
But if they don't let them go, and the ant immediately responds like anyone else would, fire at them.
Yeah.
And she does. And literally Rayla is like, what the fuck, Callum? And then they end up getting out of it.
See,
but it's so stupid.
The thing is, that would have worked had it been her plan.
Yeah.
Had she grab them both, be like, if you get any more close to them, I will kill them, and then slowly walk out. You could have done that approach, but instead you just threw this girl under the bus who, your trust with her is already a bit weary.
Already fleeting.
Yeah, you've already, there's really no reason they should be together at this point. At that point, they're still not very trusting of each other.
Yeah.
So he's just going to completely throw her under the bus and then expect everything to be fine in the next scene. That, oh my God.
Her trust is already fleeting because of the fact that when they went to the lodge, he told Rayla, oh, nobody's here, it's not winter. Which immediately an army shows up.
Please.
So it's a bit...
Well... That's another frustrating thing about the plot is they were told the princes are going to be sent to the Winter Lodge to be safe. And so when they're running away from their kingdom, what is the first place they go to? The first place everyone expects them to be.
Exactly.
How does that make sense?
Did they fucking forget?
Yeah,
did they just
it felt
not
like they just
remember?
forgot.
I think they were counting on the audience having forgotten, except that they used the audience's knowledge that they were going to show up anyway.
Right.
To justify that everyone else shows up to the lodge. What?
Yeah, okay.
That doesn't make any sense.
Bring up that scene with Rayla again later, because that's another thing I want to get into the story. I want to talk about, real quick, the Deaf Knight girl, and why she's kind of frustrating. So, I'm going to lay this out perfectly. I know that recently there's been a big, kind of, I guess even since Avatar, but shows are trying to bring in more demographics, bring in more unique characters, more LGBT representation, more biracial representation, more disability characters representation. I don't have a problem with that.
I don't think anyone does, really.
No, nobody does.
Anybody in their right mind doesn't have a problem with that at all.
The problem is when you make that their character and they don't have anything else.
Right.
And I feel like when they were writing for this character, they were just trying to get another Toph.
Okay, I want to say something after you're done with that.
Okay. I'm sure they were just trying to get another Toph, a tough lady with a disability. But here's the problem. With Toph, she used, I know I'm compared to Avatar again, but this is just, they're similar characters, okay?
Yeah.
With Toph, she was able to work around her disability and use it as an advantage by earthbending to see when people are there so she can know where people are and everything. But with this lady, she is a commander, she leads an army, and she cannot communicate with them. That's a problem.
That's a big problem. And go ahead.
Okay, sorry. And I get, not, this is representation, that's fine, I don't have a problem with that. But when, that's their only character trait, it's kind of boorish. And later on, there's a scene where she's talking in sign language, but the interpreter is not translating it. And so that's pretty much just 30 seconds that no one else is going to understand. And I get the point that it's not everyone speaks, not everyone can hear. So that's for those people. But you know what we have for deaf people? Subtitles. Why didn't we get subtitles when she was talking? That would have made sense. They do that in other shows.
So I'm gonna interject here. I was actually gonna say that because you were saying she doesn't work as a character because she's deaf what I mean.
She's a commander.
Yeah, she's a commander. I think that character is fine, honestly. I think it works. I actually really like that character because she's badass, and
I feel like that's it.
Yeah, but I like characters like that, and I think the sign language, it works because she has the interpreter. It works, okay? It works.
I've been being too cynical because I can tell it's one of those characters that's trying to be really cool, but fails to do anything super cool.
I don't think she's a bad character. I think the problem with her is, again, yes, the times where she signs and there's no translation, there's no nothing. That is literally just wasted time. And it's not because she's signing. You can easily make that. You don't even need subtitles. You could easily fix that situation with her signing, because she's signing to a grave of the queen. Right. Because the queen is dead. Which makes total sense. She's a commander. She had respect. Perfectly fine.
That's our sister, I think, right?
Is it?
Because she's the aunt, right?
Oh, that I did not know.
Yeah.
I did not. For some reason, I didn't put 2 and 2 together, so that's my fault. But all you need her to sign, and then the translator to walk up, not translate it, just say that's sweet, or just something like that.
Or
so you
give
can
her, like,
infer.
yeah.
You can infer. Okay, she's saying like, I hope you're doing great in heaven, or just something, or I hope you're
sweet.
I hope you're still watching us, or just something sweet. You don't even need to say it exactly. Just it's not just wasted time of somebody signing that only a few people watching the show will get. And I'm not trying to like, only sign language people get to understand this. That's unfair. I'm not trying to be that guy. I'm just trying to say literally nothing else is happening.
Yeah, I honestly, I think you've made a great point, which is that it's a waste of time. Logistically speaking, listen, they have this huge story, right? And they're trying to pack it all into they have 9 episodes in this season. You don't want to waste any time.
But they do
But
many times.
every time she talks, it takes, at least a couple of seconds for every couple of words she says for whatever dialogue she has to get out there. Honestly, that's a waste of time in a show that has to be this short.
Which, it's funny that you mention a waste of time, because it feels like everything is rushed in this show. Which, not the writing, but just like the story.
What's weird...
Because there's not like a conflict. There's more of like a resolution. There's not conflict in the show, it's just resolution. It's this person's angry, this person's angry, okay, now we're happy. It's like, there's no... I hate the fact that... Which, we can go back to the fact that like characters jump between personalities. That's what's happening there. There's a problem, somebody's angry, but then they have to resolve it immediately because they don't have the time to go into that.
Yeah.
Which is a really big problem.
Another problem I've been having recently with the show is I feel like, they have assassins being sent after that group, like human assassins being sent after the group to take care of the elf.
Yeah.
Can we get like elves trying to kill them?
Yeah, we've seen nothing from the other side.
Because I feel like we're kind of making it unbalanced now. Because now I feel like we should be rooting for the elves, but I don't know if we should be. Because
I don't think they're in elvish land right now, so it'd be really hard.
I suppose maybe like in a later season we're gonna get more of that, but
yeah,
I won't judge yet. Maybe later we'll see something. But
I want to quickly go back to what I just said actually about the whole like there's a thing and then there's a resolution. So there's a part in the show where they're going down the river on a boat, and Rayla is obviously kind of like nervous or something, and the 2 princes kind of pick up on this. And they're like, oh, you're scared of water, aren't you? And she's like, no. That's about it.
Right.
Which, of course, they don't go into that very much. So, again, going up with Callum's terrible plans, which I'm not sure if this was actually their plan or if they just, like, were having this to be funny or, like, they just... I honestly don't know. But basically what happens is they're going down the river and, like, Callum and... Ezrin are basically just kind of, like, smiling and laughing. And like
as they're going down a waterfall,
which they kind of, or Rayla is like, why you got? And then immediately they're like, oh, there's a waterfall there, and they start laughing and like, and they're smiling while going down this waterfall. And they could have easily died.
And again,
going down this waterfall.
We've only established they've been princes, so they've probably been in a castle their whole lives.
Yes, I agree.
We wouldn't even know if they've ever been in water before.
Or specifically that water.
Well, they've been to
they
the
don't
lodge.
know what's on the other side.
They've been to the Winter Lodge.
Yes, but they've never been down a river, I can't imagine.
Well, okay, the fact that they can go to a lodge, I'm sure they've gone other places.
I suppose, but like... Again, that's an inference.
You can't just assume that like, oh, they've been in the castle.
But we can make that assumption because they are princes, and that's usually how that works.
You'd think a single line of dialogue, oh, we were here. Like, we went here when we
Or
were
maybe
kids.
just talk about some of
Bam. It takes 3 seconds, and it gets out of the way for the rest of the episode. Now everything is explained.
Maybe they're in the boat, and Rayla's like, how can you stand this water? And he's like, oh, I go in the water all the time.
Yeah.
That would have
Something
made
like
more
that.
sense. Then we would have been like, okay, he's done this before.
Yeah.
Basically, it's the fact that they try to bring up this fear of water, and I think they're trying to like create this little like thing, but it gets resolved immediately because like they go down the waterfall, she gets her fear of water like washed away kind of because bait
Washed away. Nice.
Bait falls into the water, which is like the toad thing we were talking about. Yeah,
Which is kind of a fucked up name. They even explain like
they even explained
delicious.
this is kind of a messed up name because he's delicious to like most things. Anyway,
Should have let Bait die.
They should have let Bait die. He's only done is hurt them.
she saves the frog, and then she's kind of like better around water. But the whole fact that like Callum either knew or found it hilarious that they were going down the waterfall, and like they could have died. Rayla could have fallen out. I'm assuming she doesn't really know how to swim. She really doesn't like water, I'll tell you that much.
Right.
So the fact that he found that funny is kind of fucked up. And I think
he's like
even
trying to like punk with her.
well,
like,
even Rayla herself is like, dude, what the fuck? And then they're like, oh, well, whatever. You like water now, and she's like, okay. And then she goes like nothing. They resolve it immediately with there still should be conflict there, but there isn't. Like I feel like these humans have fucked with Rayla so much, but she just goes along with it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
For reasons that don't get explained until much, much, much later.
Right.
And then all of a sudden she'll just be like, oh, here's some backstory that out of nowhere. All right, I won't tell you why I hate water, though, because that's secret.
Yeah, inconsistencies with exposition, too. They were like, hey, Rayla, we're going to ask you some questions. And she's like, okay. And they're like, okay, so tell us your life story. And she's like, okay. And then later they're like, hey, what's that thing in your wrist? She's like, I will never tell you. It's a secret.
Can I go into that?
Wait, what? Why is that thing more secretive than your life story? Yes, go into that.
I want to go into that, but not that specific point. But that is a thing that's a recurring theme in this show. Keeping secrets for no reason.
Yeah.
And then explaining things that don't need to be explained. It's just backwards. It doesn't make sense.
There's so many times when they'll like start to bring something up and be like, oh, don't worry, I'm not going to actually tell you. And I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
Like, take for example, in the later episode where Viren is pretty much says both to Claudia and Soren, if you have to, like, die for this mission if you have to. Like, he told his kids, you will die for this mission if you have to.
Yeah.
And I need you to either kill your two old friends, or tell me that they died and get that away.
Yeah.
And then they meet each other and they're like, did Dad say anything weird to you? And they're like,
Well,
no.
Okay,
Yeah.
the weirdest...
Why would you bring that up?
Yeah.
The weird part about that is he told both of them, but he told both of them to basically not tell the other, which I think is stupid.
But why didn't they? Like,
If he's going to tell both of them, why not just brief them together?
The only reason I can think of is maybe if... No, it doesn't make any sense. Because I was going to say, like, what if one, like, doesn't want to do it, then the other one will, like, realize and then tell his father. But that doesn't make any sense either.
I also feel like Viren's just, like, he kind of just turned into a dick.
Yes.
Like, in the first few episodes, he was, like a dick for the right reasons. Like, he was trying to help Country and King.
He's like, I'll use dark magic, but it's for the sake of the people and for my friend and for the king.
Right.
And then later
when,
he's
like,
like,
when he's-
I just want power. That's
Well, no,
it.
not even that. When he's on the throne, he's like, I just want to make sure someone is leading. And then, like, right after that, he just, like, the princes are dead. Oopsies. I'm not going to go look for them. Like, whatever. I'm going to send my two kids to go kill them. I'm going to lock this guy up in prison for no reason. Which, oh my god, that was also bullshit. I'm going to really quick rant about that. The fact that the deaf lady is like, tells her interpreter, I want you to go on this mission. I want you to do this. Don't trust Viren. Okay. Goes to Viren. Viren says, hey, you're not going to do this mission anymore. Soren's going to do it, even though that's the exact thing that the general told you not to do. Also, can you meet me at 9 o'clock in a dungeon? And she's like, and he's just like, okay.
Yeah. I trust you.
Yeah. And I feel like this whole thing, if this whole thing, which is about Viren getting the throne, and that's his whole goal, this whole thing, everybody listens to him anyway. What's the problem?
Why does he even need the throne?
I want to interject there for a second, because I'm starting to think maybe there is a bigger picture here, because of course we have the guy who's like torturing an elf. Viren's torturing an elf. He has other coins with elves like trapped inside of them. Mm-hmm. He has constantly done magic. He may have, worked with the king or by himself to get this egg. And he also kept the egg, possibly without telling the king, maybe with the king. So, it might be explained in later episodes that the king is trying to go good because he's made all these... Because he has said that he's made terrible decisions in the past to Callum. So, maybe the king was trying to kind of like make up or accept his fate for all the things he's done. While Viren was like, no, we have to preserve, the human race. So maybe the king wants to atone while Viren is still doing like evil stuff. So maybe Viren was always evil, but that was never really explained, while the king is trying to kind of be good. But that's a really annoying and hard thing to do in season 1 without explaining any of it and only giving small pieces to then go into later.
Okay.
Because I feel like
it's
a good story because like you're kind of making it secret and you're only giving pieces of it, but something that big, you've already given enough to know what it is, but you haven't really explained it. Which I feel like they should have either not told us or like explained it. Because by giving us enough that we would know without explaining it, we know it's going to happen later. But then if it happens later, we're just like, well, yeah. I mean,
okay.
There's already pieces for that.
If I may, real quick.
Yeah.
We're over an hour right now.
Yeah,
And I want to ask, do you guys have enough to talk about? Do you think we can have an episode 2 about this, or should we just wrap it up?
I don't have enough.
You don't have enough?
To talk about. I've basically gone through everything.
Because I want to do the closing argument because I do have a closing point about the show.
Go ahead, make your closing argument then.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah,
so you got everything you obviously.
The points I wanted to make is just like exposition is handled sloppily. Characters don't have motivations. There's nothing makes sense in this show. It's just weird. It's just weird.
Okay. So let me just make a closing argument on the show. I want to talk about a point that would have saved the show and how it could still save the show. Because we're only on season 1. I think what would have saved the show, or at least really, really empowered it, is if the first episode, I wanted to see a 7 years ago sort of thing, where we saw the princes a little bit younger experience some sort of conflict about elves or some sort of conflict about anything.
Maybe they give them motivation.
Like, let's see. How about we see Ezran? How about we see Ezran and he like walks into a room with like maybe King Harrow and some knights, and they're interrogating an elf and they're like beating the crap out of him, and Ezran's like, that doesn't seem right. That would give him more of a reason to like want to help the elves, right?
Exactly.
I wanted to see more build off of Soren, Claudia, and Callum's kind of relationship. Maybe them as kids kind of talking and interacting and such.
Yeah.
I wanted to see perhaps more on Rayla, like her kind of backstory and why like they sent her on that mission in the first place. And all this, like, I feel like that could have definitely helped the show if we got more reason to believe these characters' motives.
See, I agree with that, because then there would be a few more episodes, and yeah, like, it'd be a little more explaining, but that's what the show needs, because it feels so rushed with only 9 episodes.
I feel like we don't even need more episodes. I feel like we just need to cut some other content that was unnecessary, like the freaking moron dance.
Yeah, well, the moron dance. Oh my god.
The jerk face dance.
Let's not get into that. Let's just continue.
The big old 5-minute exposition fest at the beginning, right? If in place of that they had that opening scene that you had said, but within the dialogue of that scene, you're able to kind of explain the world, because you get to see it from the perspective of these kids who probably don't know exactly what's going on. All that they know is that humans and elves are fighting. So they kind of witness some things that are going wrong, and then things get explained that way. Like maybe the elf is like, you took our the elf that they're interrogating that you proposed. He's like, you took the dragon egg, the dragon that guards the border between humans and elves. You could just throw that in there, and it would be explained.
To be fair, I know it wouldn't be explained till later, but 90% of the stuff that was in that opening was explained further on, or at least talked about enough so you know. For example, like the elements.
So poorly though.
I know, but when she's talking about the elements, when she's like, "Oh, the cube, we need to go find that," she explains that, which I remember you saying during the thing. You were like, "This is how it needs to be explained." Somebody who doesn't know about it, asking about it, and somebody who does, explaining it, which I totally agree with.
That explains it to the audience.
They don't need this 5 minutes of exposition. They could have done something like this opening scene that you're talking about.
Yeah, another point on the opening scene. Why didn't we see Callum at the Winter Lodge, Seeing the cube for the first time.
Oh, sure.
That would have been great.
But actually, wasn't there a flashback specifically for the cube?
If there was, I don't remember it.
I think we were like, was it really? I remember. Maybe I could be wrong.
Then that was probably something that we were like, why are they showing this to us?
I think it was really stupid. It was literally just a flashback of the room, and it's like the cube's in the corner. He's like, oh yeah. I could be completely making that up.
Okay.
I don't remember.
So, we're going to say something real quick?
Well, exposition doesn't need to be delivered twice, right? And that keeps happening in this story because they had that big opening spiel at the beginning. Now, I know that that's not like the end-all, be-all. You can't have exposition at the beginning because, like I said, I mean, Star Wars did it, Avatar did it, a lot of shows do it, but it happens so swiftly that it doesn't waste any time. You know what I mean?
The best rule of storytelling is show, don't tell. Show us this, don't tell us this.
And the show does not do that at all. It keeps telling us things without showing us things, or showing us things that
without
nobody talks about. And so it doesn't make any sense.
Okay, I know this is only season 1, so maybe by the end of the show's run, however long it goes, maybe it all comes full circle and we kind of get this kind of closure around it. That would be great. But as of now, it's got a really, really sloppy start.
Okay, to wrap up my opinion on the show, I don't think it's a great show, but I think it could get better. So far, what I've seen, it's not a bad show, seeing how it's a kid's show.
I don't agree with you at all.
It could get... That's fine. You can not agree with me, but this is my opinion. It's not great, but as a kid's show, it's, it's not terrible. It works.
I can't agree with that because Avatar's a kid's show, Steven Universe is a kid's show, Adventure Time's a kid's show, and they're all... Okay, maybe not so much Adventure Time, but they all, have a good narrative. They're able to explain it well, and it's a good show. Being a kid's show does not excuse lazy writing.
Did you just try to, say they have... What do you mean explain it for Adventure Time?
I said maybe not the case of Adventure Time.
Okay. Even Steven Universe, there's not a lot to explain, though.
But
I feel like this show has a lot to explain. They just didn't explain it.
Right. But what I'm saying is with Steven Universe, when something becomes important, they explain it. And even if they don't, they make it so you want to learn more. But this show doesn't.
Anyway, that's my opinion on it. I'm okay with still watching this.
Oh, I want to watch. I want to see it to
see if it gets better. I don't have the hopes I did when I first went into this. I'll tell you that much. Those are crushed, gone, burned, cremated, thrown in a grave, buried with a mountain.
I'll go into season 2 very skeptically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, if anyone's listening to this and you don't agree with us, that's fine.
That's great.
Put it in the comments because listen, I love discussing shows like this, and I have opinions about them, and I watch people all the time who have opinions about shows. I love that kind of stuff. So if anyone's watching this and you disagree with us, put it in the comments. If you do agree with us, but we didn't say something that you think is important, put it in the comments.
Yeah,
I'm gonna read that shit.
Oh yeah, I will 100%. After the whole show, I even went on some social media stuff and I looked up people talking about Dragon Prince and things that they liked about it because I want to like it. I don't want to be this cynical asshole.
But believe me, I don't want to hate any show. I'd love to see good things about it. I just can't see them right now.
Yeah, and if you can prove it to me, God bless you, because I want to like the show. But so far, I just haven't been proven wrong yet.
And for God's sakes, if you want us to talk about this again, if you want us to see some feedback, and then remix our opinions and come back, and we'll talk about it again. For the love of God, tell us.
Yeah, please, I want to have discussions about this. I love having discussions about this. I think it's very important. If you liked this kind of review kind of thing, please let us know. We can do more of these in a podcast. I think that could be pretty fun.
I say we end this on a light note.
Okay.
Who's your favorite character?
Who's my favorite character?
Yes.
Did you have a favorite character?
Who's your favorite character? Is it the deaf girl?
I like Rayla and the deaf girl. It's kind of like a tie because they're the only two people who actually fight. Yeah. And I like fighters.
Yeah, I like fighters too, but
the dude with the dagger was pretty sick too. Cause when he was fighting, when he was fighting that fucking huge, the acrobatics. Okay, I wanna make this tripe. All right, the show's animation, I love. I know you hate. I'm not sure what you, Sam.
It's kind of jerky.
It's jerky, but I love how they did it.
I don't hate it.
I don't like the jerkiness, but I'm not sure. I don't know anything about animation, so that might be that might be really hard, or that might be something that has to be in there. I don't know. But I love the animation, and I love that specific scene. If you can look it up, it's the dagger dude. I don't think he has a name, fighting the guy with the huge sword. That is the coolest fight scene of that show.
The dude with the dagger that was forged in the sun or something like that. That crazy like, hot dagger.
Yeah.
I want to say, like, I don't have a problem with 3D animation. I typically, like... I don't have a problem with 3D animation, but I know that 3D animation is very hard to do. So if you can't do it well, don't do it.
Yeah.
If you can do it in 2D and make it look better, just do that.
I think
that's why when I watch like RWBY season 1, I want to vomit out of my eyeballs.
Let's not talk about that.
They get better, sure, but oh dear God.
I think the only problem I saw with the show, again, the jerkiness. But okay, I'm no expert. Again, I'm not saying like, oh, they could do this better. I don't know. But these are the things I saw. The jerkiness, and then sometimes the mouths are kind of like melted over.
Yeah.
Like when they make like a weird face, it kind of does that. Those are the two things I saw. Otherwise, I really like the animation.
My favorite character is probably Rayla, I guess.
All right. Sam, you gotta...
It was Soren because he would look really cool, and then he's just a fucking dumbass.
Yeah, Soren was my favorite character in the first episode.
Until he started talking. Yeah.
Okay, those, to be honest, both children are kind of ditzy.
Yeah. Yeah, they're both
I don't know
really
why,
stupid.
though. Yeah.
All right, here's how we're going to end this episode. On this last note that I want to say. You can argue with us that the show is good. You can tell me that the show is good. But I will never forget Claudia made a fart joke. Yeah. That will never be redeemed. Never. Never.